We are live, and I'm super excited to be here with each and every one of you. I'm just going to take a moment and hit the recording button as well. Well, hello, and welcome. Just give me another second. Just setting up my settings. It's just so funny on how technology works. There we go. The magic happens. So again, super excited to be here with each and every one of you. I am hoping that you can hear me, see me, and let's make some magic happen. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Reverend Dr. Joanne Angel BarryColon's. I'm the founder of Holistic Fitness and why. I serve, help, and transform women over 40, helping them to release emotional weight without dieting, while holding space as they gain confidence and courage to step away from their 9 to 5, outdated relationships, and old subconscious beliefs. The W in holistic is all about the whole person. You are your body, your mind, your emotions, your thoughts, your spirit, and your soul. And all that being said, tonight I have a magnificent topic to chat with you about in regards to navigating through the word FAMA, FAMA. Almost sounds like fame. And it's a word that you probably have never heard me use before, as it is known as an asteroid in astrology. It's not a planet. And if you haven't guessed it already, FAMA is actually the same as fame, where fame sits on your chart and what house it's playing in. And currently, from today, which is May 5th, by the way, Cinco de Mayo, this is a portal activation day. If you're not familiar with numerology, any number that repeats itself is a portal activating the energy of that number within itself. And the number 5 is associated with your creativity. It's about your self-expression. It's definitely associated with Leo's energy, so it's fire. In addition to being more playful and more adaptive to what it is you came here to do based on that, your freedom, your ability to think for yourself, do for yourself, and elevate your frequencies from a 3D into 4D into 5D. Now, if you've been following me on a regular basis, you've heard me use that expression, 3D, 4D, 5D. 3D energy is anything we can physically see. So, for example, if you can see through my screen, the bottle here, we can see this because it's physical. Your phone, you can see. Your laptop, you can see. All of that is 3D energy. When we go into the 4D, 5D energy, we are now going in beyond what your naked eye can actually see. Many of us, including myself, are attuned to utilizing our ability to see beyond the naked eye. So if you are tapping into your, what I like to call your spiritual gifts or your psychic abilities, then you are very well using your 4 and 5D energy. The higher your frequency is, the more likely you have the ability to tap into your higher consciousness, your intuition, your imagination, and being able to adapt into different ideas that may not necessarily be aligned with many other people's ideas, because your ideas are unique, your ideas are authentic, your ideas are innovative for that matter. So when we think about this energy of the number 5, the 5-5 portal, it really is about what work you came here to do. When I use the word work, I'm speaking on your spiritual work, the work that you are actually here to be doing, your soul's work. And in that Leo energy of the 5, which is the fire within you, what's lighting you up to do just that? And we have to remind ourselves that we need to be lit. It's like lighting a fireplace or lighting a candle. We have to light that up. And in order to light that up, we have to every day be responsible for our own grounding, our own intentions, our own adaptiveness to being beyond the norm. So when we think about this energy navigating through the FAMA, which is the FAMA, which is an asteroid energy, which is currently in Cancer, which is a water sign. Water, when we talk about Cancer, it's the water sign. It is about nurturing. It is about, again, your work, because it's the opposition of the Capricorn. Now, we all know, for those who do follow astrology, Capricorn is known as the planet, the zodiac sign about work, structure, discipline, um, your what do I want to call it? Your masculine energy, so to speak. However, so is Cancer on a more feminine approach, on a more softer approach, because it is really about the work that you're here to do, nurturing, mothering, and soothing that work. So yes, when we talk about Capricorn, we talk about Cancer as a dual partnership within itself. So this energy that we're experiencing through this FEMA energy, as today, May 5th, it's been activated and will stay activated right through July 4th of 2026. So when we think about this energy, we're in May, so we have like a 2-month period where we really get to hone in on this energy, where, again, when we think about the word FAMA, FAMA, it's fame, it's visibility, it's recognition, it's how people see you and how you want to be seen in the world based on your quote unquote status, based on all your different titles that you own. And how is that being lit up for you in this moment of time? And one of the things that I do with women like you in my Astro Insight Play Shop is I help you better understand how to navigate through all of these different planets and asteroids and how they play into your house and also play with your zodiac signs. Now, again, when we talk about our zodiac signs, there are 12 of them, and we all have all 12 zodiac signs in our chart. Whatever house you're in is where the actual activities are going on when we think about this energy. So we want to be mindful that when we speak about the houses is where things are happening. So for me, when we speak about Cancer, which is where FAMA is transiting at this moment of time, is transiting my first house. So what that means for me is it's my identity and it's about self. So FAMA, which we know is about fame, it's about visibility, it's about recognition, it's about status, it's about how I want people to see me in regards to my titles. And because it sits in my first house, that's what's being beamed up. So for the next give and take 2 months, as Fama is sitting in Cancer's energy for that 2-month period, this is where I get to show up. Not just show up in posts, but really show up in voice, in teaching life lessons, in not just sitting there giving you disciplining, but literally giving you experiences from my own experience of how I really use astrology into my everyday life, and how each of the houses of the 12 houses play a huge role in our everyday. A few planets and placements that I want to share with you today based on this energy of Fama being in Cancer. And again, we're going to make it simple and say fame, because that's what Fama is. It's fame. How do you want to be recognized for fame? Now, in addition to your first house placement, now for me, I have Cancer there. So if any of you who are here watching or listening to this at a later date, and you have Cancer in your first house, this is about yourself and this is about identity. Now, if you happen to have any other planets sitting in your first house, which I don't, then those other planets are going to play a huge story to this fame that you have. For example, I have a client that I work with who she has both Uranus and Jupiter in her first house placement. Now, Uranus is the planet of chaos. It's the rebel. It's the unpredictability. It is also the innovation as well. And when we speak about Jupiter, it's the expansion, it's the spiritual growth, it's the spiritual evolution, it's the luck, it's the fortune. So those two additional planets that sits in her first house is adding to her storyline to what this fame is going to be for her. As for me, because I do not have any other planets in my first house, it's just really about Cancer and fame. That's what it's about. It's about my fame, my identity, my how I show up as me. And then we're going to connect this with the first house energy. We're then going to connect it up to the 10th house energy. And why do I want to do that? When we speak about our first house, which our first house represents self and identity, the house that's associated with fame, success, money, your public image, and how you want the public to see you is your 10th house. So the question that you want to ask, and it's not really a question, what you want to look at when you look at your chart, again, for those who have Cancer rising first house, what's going to be in your 10th house is Aries. So Aries for me in my 10th house, again, Aries is associated with the first house energy. So it's again that concept of me being the leader and also me being fire. And taking this energy between my first house and my 10th house placement, and I do have planets sitting in my 10th house placement. In fact, I have an asteroid and a planet. So I have Chiron, which is the wounded healer, at the very early degrees of 4 degrees. It's very early in there. And if you're not familiar with Chiron, feel free to follow me along on other conversations that I have, because I speak a lot about Chiron's energy. For today, I'm going to put that aside. The other planet that I have in my 10th house is Mars. Now, for me, that's a big player. And for that matter, for all of us, Mars is a big player. And why is that? Mars is the ruler of Aries energy. So again, when we talk about our first house placement, for me, I have Cancer there. So wherever you have Cancer on your chart, now you may have Cancer in your 3rd house. You may have Cancer in your 5th house. You might have Cancer in your 10th house, whatever have you. So again, you may not have Cancer in your 1st house. And wherever you have your Cancer placement, you then want to pay attention to where you have Aries as well. And for me, when we think about that 1st house Cancer and going up to the 10th house, this is really about the public image that we have based on Famer. And why am I suggesting to you to look at your placement of Aries, or for that matter, look at your placement of your 10th house, even if you don't have Aries there? Because when we speak about Famer energy is associated with your fame, your success, your identity, your public image, your recognition for that matter. So bringing it all into a nutshell, when we talk about this energy, the couple of things that I would like for you to do is I want you to look at your chart and I want you to see where you do have Cancer for one. Now, in addition to wherever you have Cancer on your chart, whatever house Cancer is in, besides Famer transiting that placement, note that collectively we also have Jupiter transiting that placement as well. And Jupiter, as I mentioned, based on my other client's chart, Jupiter is the planet of expansion. So for me, and any one of you who happen to have your Cancer in your 1st house placement, know that the fame, success, recognition, awards are being expanded for you because of that Jupiter transiting your Cancer placement. Now, for me, it happens to be my 1st house. You may have Cancer in your 2nd house. So for you, that would be expanding on your success when it comes to your money aspects, your relationship aspects, your the way you make connections with friends, and also the way you make connections with your physical body, because 2nd house is associated with value. So that may be expanded for you. So if you have Cancer in the 2nd house, your values, you might be reviewing your values. You may be reviewing your how you make money. Now, if you are a entrepreneur, you may be evaluating increasing your rates because you want your rates to match your value. Now, if you happen to have your Cancer placement in your fifth house energy, now I'm not going to go through all the house placements, but I'm going to pick and choose. And if you have Cancer in your fifth house placement, again, we want to recognize that fifth house is about your creativity. It's about freedom. It's about self-expression. It is very much about um, traveling as well. So you want to be mindful about that as well. And remember, we do have Jupiter in that Cancer placement. So everything is being expanded with the help of this Famer energy. So again, I want to recap into this energy to better help you understand how to navigate through this energy. So again, I want you to look at your chart and take a peek to see a couple of things. Where do you have Cancer on your chart? What house is Cancer at? Once you identify where you have Cancer, the house you have Cancer, that is the house where you're going to have your fame and success take place. Now, the other placement I want you to look at on your chart based on Cancer's energy, wherever that is for you, I want you, because we're talking about fame, I then want you to look at your 10th house placement, because that's literally where fame and success in your public image sits. So whatever zodiac sign you have in that placement, that will be accentuated as well. So whether you have a first house Cancer or not, I want you to look at whatever your 10th house placement is. So for example, if you happen to have your, let's see, I have to write this down. I have to take a note so I can actually give this to you as an example. Or maybe not. This way we don't go too much into that. All I want for you to do is I want you to look at your chart, find out where you have Cancer on your chart, what house from 1 to 12. Whatever that house is, know that you do have Jupiter transiting your placement. So there's an expansion happening with your fame, your success. And whatever that house is, that's going to be the scene that's going to be expanded. And then I also want you to go and look at your 10th house. So whatever you have in your 10th house, whatever zodiac sign is there, and if you have any planets there, know that those planets are going to add to your story, to whatever else is being expanded for you. So this is information that you definitely want to look into, because this energy of Famer playing in your Cancer placement is going to help you in regards to getting recognized, in regards to your success. So what I'm also here to share that, let's say you have Cancer in your 6th house. 6th house is your nervous system. It's your physical body. It's your routine. It's your schedule. So that is going to be amplified. So this may be a really great time for you to look into getting started on an exercise routine, changing your dietary habits, changing your routine up so you can fit more time for you, because that Famer is definitely going to accentuate how you want to nurture you. Because remember, when we talk about Cancer energy, it's about nurturing the mother within. It's about mothering yourself based on whatever house it is. And the only reason why I'm bringing up that 10th house energy is because that 10th house energy is associated with your public image based on success, fame, and awards. So you always want to go and look at that 10th house placement to see what's going on there and whatever zodiac sign is sitting there. So for my Cancer risings who have Cancer in 1st house and your Aries in 10th house, this is pretty big for you. And currently we do have Mars transiting the Aries placement. And why I'm bringing Mars into the picture again is Mars is the ruler of Aries. Mars is the action orienter. Mars is the one that's going to help you take action, be the leader, and be assertive about it as well. Now, if for whatever the reasons are during these 2 months as we have Fenrir in Cancer, and you're not grounded, you may find that you're not going to utilize this energy in the most productive way possible. So grounding is always key. Finding time to quiet yourself down, finding time to stay connected to earth, finding time to rest when you need to rest so you can be grounded and focused and utilize this energy in the most positive way possible. So I do want you to pay attention to that. So, and I'm not just speaking about my Cancer rising signs, I'm speaking about all cancers, wherever Cancer sits on your chart. Very important to pay attention to. And understanding that when we talk about Cancer, we're talking about the work we're here to do based on nurturing and mothering it. Whereas with the opposition of Capricorn, that is the masculine, what do you need to do to really hone in on this energy that we have going on at this moment of time. Now, one thing I know to be true, and I teach this all the time, is that we want to pay attention to all of our planets. When I use the word all of our planets, specifically our closer planets such as Mercury, Mars, and Venus. Those are the planets that's moving frequently. Mercury usually moves every 3 weeks unless retrograde. Mars usually moves every 8 weeks unless retrograde. And Venus moves anywhere between 5 to 6 weeks unless retrograde. And these are the planets that really tune into what it is that's going to help navigate to whatever's going on in the season. So right now, we are in what's called Taurus season because the sun is sitting in Taurus. And Taurus is pretty lit up right now because besides the sun sitting in Taurus, we do have Uranus and Venus sitting in Taurus. And when we talk about Taurus energy, we are talking about grounding. We are talking about nurturing. We are talking about stability. We are talking about discipline. We are talking about slowing down our momentum because Taurus is a slower energy. I want to take a little water. And because Taurus is a slower energy, it's not full charge, go ahead. But then we have all these other energies that are happening. But the primary placement at this moment in time is because we are sitting with the sun in Taurus. We want to pay attention to that. And because there are 3 planets sitting in Taurus energy at this moment in time, as mentioned, the sun, Uranus, and Venus. And then we also have, and I am misspeaking 100%. 100%. We do not have Uranus and Venus sitting in Taurus at this moment in time. I'm totally misspeaking, so we're going to erase that. And we're going to talk about how both Uranus and Venus are actually sitting in Gemini energy. Pardon my misspeaking right there. I'm so glad intuition tapped into my head. So the only placement we have sitting in Taurus right now is the sun's energy. Thank goodness for that. We do have both Venus and Uranus, which just recently moved into Gemini's energy over the past weekend. And that's activating our communication skills. And now, I'm not sure if you're aware, how is communication skills working for you right now? Now that we have both Uranus and Venus sitting in Gemini's energy, and we also have, just happened yesterday, today's May 5th, so May 4th, if I'm correct. Let me just double check. So I'm giving you accurate information. Be nice if I'm on the right month. I am. As of yes, as of May 2nd, we actually have Mercury sitting in Taurus energy. So when we talk about Mercury sitting in Taurus energy with the sun, you might have noticed that your communication became a little slower, more accurate and to the point. More, what I'm hearing is like anal retentive, where we're so like tuned in to being specific and like looking at the fine print to everything. So we want to pay attention to that energy. So if we think about the energies as we speak right now in Taurus season, the Sun and Mercury, and then with our Gemini energy, we have Uranus and Venus there. And zooming really into that Cancer placement as of right now, where as of today, May 5th through July 4th, where we have FEMA, FAMA, sitting in Cancer's energy, helping to highlight, spotlight your fame, your success, your recognition, your awards. And then with both Taurus, Gemini playing a role here on these on this energy that we have going on, especially Mercury, because Mercury is the communicator. Mercury is how we want to communicate, how we want to share our big message, how we want to be seen, so to speak, as well. What are we writing about? That's all that Mercury energy we have going on. So we want to pay attention to all the other placements on your chart and how this is playing a big role in how you want to be seen based on your success, based on your fame, based on what your niche is. And that is one of the reasons why I wanted to come today and share this with you to better help you understand how to navigate. Do your chart, and it's so important to take notes because just like I just did a few seconds ago, I had it confused with Taurus energy. Very simple to do, an oversight like that because things change so quickly. But yet we can catch ourselves when we look down at our notes to realize, like, oh, wait a second, there's been a shift that happened. And that's what happens with Mercury, Venus, and Mars is they move. And if you're not paying attention to when that movement takes place with those particular planets, you may feel a little bit out of sorts. So if you weren't aware that Mercury just moved into Taurus just this past weekend and you're wondering why you're feeling so sluggish and maybe you're feeling tired and maybe you're feeling like you need more rest, that's the Taurus Mercury energy. Because again, Mercury is communication, Mercury is movement, Mercury is travel, Mercury is technology. So it is movement. It's not really so comfortable in Taurus energy because Taurus is stability, Taurus is slower, Taurus is like, the way I hear it is like Taurus and Virgo. Very similar energies, but very different energy. And why I bring up Virgo? Virgo is the perfectionist. Virgo is like everything has to be in a perfect order. And when I think about Taurus in Gemini energy, I'm sorry, Taurus and Mercury energy, it really is about that perfectionist of how we value things and what is it that we're putting our focus on when we are looking at perfectionists with Taurus, with Mercury transiting Taurus energy. And because we have this Cancer Fema energy playing a big role, expanding the work that we came here to do. So my question to you is, what is your work? What are you here to do? And when I speak about your work and what you're here to do, I'm not speaking about a 9 to 5. So if you still happen to have a 9 to 5, my ladies over 40, this may really be your time to start reflecting on what is it you're here to be doing based on your soul and spirit's purpose. Because there's a good probability that that 9 to 5 is really not going to be aligned with you. And through these next 2 months, you want to really see where your recognition comes from. Now, I'm not saying you cannot be recognized at the job you're at. However, what I am saying is that if we're looking at the Taurus Mercury energy in regards to how do you value what it is you do, how are you showing up at that 9 to 5? How are you learning? What are you teaching? How are they learning from you at your 9 to 5? This may really be your time to make some changes regarding shifting out of your 9 to 5, fading out of your 9 to 5, and utilizing this Aries Mars energy. Because again, when we talk Aries energy, Aries is associated with who am I, why am I here, what am I here to be doing. It's about yourself and it's about your identity. And being that Mars is the ruler to Aries, you may be getting this itch to really want to shift, pivot, and do something different. And you may be in this place where you're not sure why you're feeling this desire to like want to pack your bags and get the hell out of where you are based on that 9 to 5. So again, this is a really perfect time to sit and reflect on what is it that serves your purpose. What fills you up? What gets you excited? And I know this may be what's the expression? I don't know the expression, but anyway, the statement that's made when we're children, what do you want to be when you grow up? So think back to what it was you might have what you might have wanted to be when you were a child. And this might actually be a time you get to fulfill that desire to be what it is you wanted to be when you were a child as an adult. So using all of this energy. So to recap, again, our Cancer, where we have fame right now, which is all about your fame. Cancer is how you're nurturing that fame, how you're mothering that fame. You really want to press it, you want to shine it, you want to bless it, because that's what it's all about when we talk about famer in Cancer energy, whatever house that's sitting in. Remember that when we talk about Cancer based on the collective energy, we have Jupiter sitting there. So there's a huge expansion. So you may also find or hear or receive information that you're receiving recognition for something, such as I just received an email today that a writing piece that I did has been put into the next level of a writing contest. And I should be hearing sometime by the end of this month whether or not my writing piece is going to come in between the first to maybe I think fifth place. I think there's 5 places it can come into. So that's really exciting, and it makes a lot of sense because of my Cancer first house placement, because first house is about self. And then because I am a Cancer rising, my 10th house is Aries. It's where the action's happening. And it's where I have Mars. So it makes sense. So when you actually know where you have your specific zodiac signs in its placement and things are going on in your life, you can connect the dots and then be like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. So again, knowing where these placements are and how to navigate through is so important, because then when you do get those emails or different things occur, you can then better understand to like, oh, what's actually happening. And so bringing it all together, we have the famer in Cancer. Collectively, Jupiter is there expanding things. We want to pay attention to the fact that right now, the Sun and Mercury are sitting in Taurus energy. So it is about your value. It is about stabilizing yourself. It is about moving a little slower. And when we talk about Mercury's energy, it very much is about communication. How are you communicating? Are you getting in front of people and teaching? Are you sharing your gifts? Now, when we talk about Mercury's energy, the connection we have with Gemini, because Mercury rules Gemini, we currently do have Uranus and Venus there in Gemini's energy. Now, I'm going to give you a cross reference. When we talk about Taurus, the ruler of Taurus is Venus, and Venus right now is sitting in Gemini's energy. So value is big right now. How do you value? What is your worth? What is your physical material possessions worth to you? And this could be one of the reasons why whatever type of job you have, if you have a 9 to 5 or if you're an entrepreneur, that you may be in this place where you're evaluating what you're making. What are you receiving based on your income? That could be a big highlighter for you right now. And again, depending where you have these particular placements, what houses they're in, again, those of you have, if you have your Cancer or you have your Taurus in the first or second house. First house is associated with self and identity. Your second house is associated with your value, how you value money. And because it is about your physical body, it's physical. So it's about your work that you're here to do. Your second house is the work you're here to do based on money. And when we talk about that second house, because it is Taurus energy, you want stability. So you may very well be in that spot where you're thinking about your income and doesn't provide stability for you. You are definitely not somebody that wants to live check to check, because that's not stability. So these are the things that may very well be on your mind front and center. So your homework is, if you have not looked at your chart, to go to astro.com, type in personal natal chart, put in the information they ask you for, and then you're going to get this beautiful chart. Now, if you're not sure how to read your chart, that's where I come in. And that's where my Astro Insight Play Shop comes in, which is taking place on May 24th. And I would love to have you in the class. I take 6 people. I keep it small and intimate so everybody gets an opportunity to really take a deep dive into whatever houses that need to be focused on at that moment of time. And this will help you navigate through this energy that we're in. As we're moving through Taurus energy, by the time we meet for that class, we will already be in Gemini energy. The sun would have just recently moved into Gemini. And Gemini is really about communication. It's really learning how to navigate through your own soul's contracts, because that's what your astrological makeup is. It's your soul's contract. It's what you came here to do, because you're the one that created that agreement with God. There is no other way of saying this. So when we think about astrology, this is not about the woo-woo. And the more people are talking about astrology, the less emphasis we're putting on it as it's the woo-woo, and the more focus we're putting on it as it really is your navigation system. I say this in every conversation, and the statement is, for those of you who drive, you would not get in your car and you would not turn on your GPS if you were driving to a place you had no idea how to get to. It is automatic. We all turn on our GPS when we're driving somewhere we're not familiar with. So we do that with our cars so we can get from point A to point B safely in the shortest amount of time possible. Why on earth would you not go and do the same when it comes to navigating your life events, your life purpose, your life lessons? And when we understand how to navigate and we understand how to really play in these energies, it helps us to better understand when the chaos and challenges do arrive. Because this is not about never experiencing challenge or chaos ever again. What it is about is understanding that when it does show up, how to navigate through it. Because chaos and challenges are a part of our every day. We think of chaos like, oh my God, this is awful. But chaos is a huge opportunity of curiosity of what can you learn through that moment of time when you have chaos. How do you react when there's chaos? Are you level-headed? Are you calm? Are you in that space where you can see all sides of the story? Or are you anxious and overwhelmed and you just really want to get your point across? So you have to evaluate how you identify with the chaos. And then the challenges. It's like, and I'm going to put this in like health and fitness terms, because I'm sure many of you have done a challenge or two when it comes to health and fitness, where you challenge yourself. You're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do a 12-week challenge and try to get myself in the best shape possible. That's a challenge. So if we're okay with challenges like that, why would we not want to be okay with life challenges? And a big part of this energy that we're talking about when we talk about Cancer, a new piece I'm bringing to the conversation right now, is when we talk about Cancer energy, we're also relating to the moon's energy, because the moon rules Cancer energy. And when we talk about how our planets, our closer planets, such as Mercury, Venus, and Mars move frequently? Well, talk about a planet that moves frequently, and some may not even call the moon a planet, but the moon rotates every 2.5 days. So every 2.5 days, the moon is literally moving out of one element and moving into the next. So we think about today's moon. Today's moon happens to be sitting in, I keep looking at the wrong dates. I keep going down to the end of the month, and we're only in the beginning of May. So interesting that as of this morning, the moon was in Sagittarius, and now as of 3:06 p.m. Eastern time, the moon is now in Capricorn. So let's talk about those two energies because they're very different energies. So we talk about the moon in Sagittarius, which is fire. That is about freedom. It's about fast paced. It's about truth speaking. It's about seeking, for that matter, and it's about exploring, traveling. And the traveling could be about traveling between timelines in reference to when I said earlier the 3D, 4D, 5D energy, where you may physically be in that 3D, but transitioning up into the 4-5D because of that Sagittarius energy in that moon's energy. Our moon represents how we feel and how we express our feelings. So in the morning time, that's where the moon was. So we might have been in our feelings of speaking our truth, wanting more freedom, and between worlds. And now that the moon has moved into Capricorn, which again, when we talk about the Cancer, the Fema in Cancer, the opposition of Fema in Cancer and the moon in Capricorn, it's how you do feel about nurturing your fame and how you do feel about the work that you're doing to get your fame. And for those of you who do happen to have a strong Capricorn placement, your focus is strictly discipline, structure, and wanting to get the work done. It's not really about mothering anything. It's about being in charge and firm and wanting to get it done. So the moon being in Capricorn may be highlighting that for you in this moment of time where it's like you're not really concerned about your fame and your success. Because you're and this is for those who have a strong Capricorn energy, you're really more concerned about you have to get this work done. You're here to do the work. It's not about the recognition. It's not about awards. You can care less about them. I mean, you're flattered if someone wants to give you an award or they want to highlight you, but you're not somebody that really wants to be in the limelight when it comes to the work that you do. So that's where the opposition is going to come into play, especially for those who do have a very strong Capricorn placement. And what I mean by a strong Capricorn placement, if you happen to hold the stellium energy, which means you have 3 planets sitting in that placement, that's a strong placement. And depending on the degree of your Capricorn placement, that will be a strong placement. So again, it's always important to go and look at your chart so you can better understand why for you this recognition may not be the most important thing, where for somebody else it may be. And that has a lot to do with your placements. So when we think about the moon's energy and the moon currently in Capricorn right now, how you're feeling about the work you're here to do. Whether it's your 9 to 5 or your entrepreneurship or just your work in general, like if you have work to do at home, like you have to clean your house or you want to get homework done or whatever it is, how do you feel about that? Is that your first priority? Your routine, your schedule, is that your first priority? When the moon is in Capricorn, you may be very diligent at this point in time. Like for me, coming here today to share insight with you and going live to show the visibility, to speak so you can hear me and connect with me, that was important for me. That is that Capricorn moon's energy, because that's what's important. Of course, the Cancer and Fema with Jupiter is also important for me because it is about the recognition. So we want to play both sides of the story, but we also want to understand how to navigate. And we talk about Capricorn energy. Capricorn is Earth, so it's grounding. Grounding. So we have the moon in Capricorn, and we have the sun in Taurus, and we do have our south node in Virgo. So there was a lot of grounding energy helping us to be more humble, more calm, more relaxed, more stable through these three zodiac signs that are associated with our Earth's energy, being more grounded. Just as we have 4 planets sitting in fire energy, which is more action oriented. And then we already know we have a few energies sitting in air. We have planets sitting in Mercury. We have a planet sitting in Aquarius at this moment of time. And so when we think about all of our elements at this moment of time, I think all of our elements are pretty much balanced out. Now, what do I mean by elements? Good question. What I mean by elements is when we talk about fire, which is our Aries, our Leos, and our Sagittarius. When we talk about Earth, which is Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. When we talk about air, which is Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And then we talk about water, which is Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. I would say at this moment in time, we have a pretty well round out energy of all of our elements at this moment of time. So everything is very balanced right now. And that's because we do have Mercury, Venus, and Mars playing a big role in these energies at this moment of time. So we really want to pay attention to that too, to help us better understand why we may be feeling one element over another element. And these are things that I help you with to understand when we come together in our Astro Insight Play Shop, so you can better understand how to navigate. Whereas when you think about the overall energies, eliminating the planets that move the most, such as Venus, Mars, and Mercury, most of our planets are going to be playing in fire and air for at least the next 18 months. So fire and air, when we think about that, is really about action oriented. That could be looking like a leader, being able to make quick decisions, and it could be about researching, analyzing, and reviewing things. And on a denser point for both, it could be aggressive, it could be overwhelming, it can be distracted, it could be overthinking, it can be anxiety ridden, it can be anal retental. But that's what the energy is going to be like for the next 18 months. When we think about Aries right now, which is fire, we have Neptune and Saturn there. Mars is there for a little while longer. Chiron is there for a little while longer. And then when we talk about Gemini's energy, which is air, we have Uranus there, which is going to be there for about 7 years. We do have Venus sitting there, but that's only going to be there for a little while. And of course, Mars and Mercury will transit there as well for a little while. We have Pluto, where we have Aquarius sitting, and Aquarius will be sitting. Pluto will be sitting in Aquarius for 20 years. At this point, I think it's on 19 because we already have it there for a year. And that's about our big transformations. That's about things that are coming to an end. That's about completions, which is one of the reasons why we're seeing so many changes that's taking place when it comes to politics and history. Because when we talk about Pluto and we talk about Uranus, those are the 2 planets that speak about politics and history. And because both of those planets, Pluto and Aquarius, Uranus and Gemini, it really is about how we're seeing things change, the way we communicate, the way we travel, the way we network, the way we do technology. And then we have Neptune, which is about the higher consciousness. So we are really moving more into a 4-5D energy, the frequencies of how we can see things in a different way. And that's why these energies are so important. And that's why it really is important to learn how to navigate through your astrological makeup so you can better understand what your next move is and how to make your next move and how to utilize your 3 closer planets, Mercury, Mars, and Venus. One more word I want to throw at you in this conversation to conclude is the word retrograde. And retrograde just means that when we think about retrograde, retro means review. So we will begin what's called retrograde season. And when we have retrograde season, that means we have multiple planets that will go retrograde. We've been in a retrograde free season for, I believe it's like 2 or 3 weeks at this point. However, that's about to change because Pluto will begin its retrograde as of tomorrow, May 6th. And Pluto will be retrograde for about, I believe it's 5 months. I do have it in my notes somewhere. Let me see if I can find it quickly. Yes, Pluto will be retrograde until October 15th of 2026. So it will be a 5-month from May 6th to October. So what's that? May, June, July, August, September, October. That's 5 months that Pluto will be retrograde. So what does it mean with Pluto being retrograde in Aquarius? It means we're going to be reviewing anything relating to endings and completions relating to Aquarius energy. Remember, Pluto is all about politics. It's all about the collective. It's all about the bigger picture. And anything that's sort of outdated, that has not already changed, we're going to see that happen during the retrograde period. Now, how this will impact you on a personal level, because anything that happens collectively affects us personally. So where you have Aquarius on your chart, the house that Aquarius is sitting in is where Pluto is. So you might want to look at that house placement to see how that is going to impact you. I have Aquarius in my 7th and 8th house. Now, Pluto is in the early stages of its degree. So for me, that's going to impact my 7th house energy, which is where my moon is. So it's going to be like, how do I feel? And we talk about 7th house energy. That's about our agreements. It's about contracts. It's about justifying things. So on a personal note, when Pluto goes retrograde, hitting my 7th house, that will be about me reviewing different contracts that I have. And because this energy happens tomorrow, and it's so interesting, personal story. I'm literally in the midst of closing off an agreement that I had with storage for the last 4 years, since 2022. We're in 2026. So it's so interesting that agreement is coming to an end just as we're moving into Pluto retrograde. I love how everything just really connects. And when we understand and we know how to navigate, for me, that puts a smile on my face because it's like, wow, this is so perfectly aligned. Some may use the word a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that everything is perfectly orchestrated and that unconsciously or subconsciously or even consciously, we make moves that's in alignment to what's going on with our planet. So I bring this to your attention because I want you to be awakened. I want you to really wake up. I want you to wake up. I want you to become mindful. I want you to really start to look and pay attention to what's going on in your life and how whatever's going on in your life, how it is a mirror to what's going on in your contracts. Now, you may not be aware, you may not have a clue because you're not paying attention to your astrological makeup. And you are really thinking that, oh, well, things are just happening just because they're happening. And I'm here to tell you, things are not just happening because they're happening. Nothing ever just happens. Everything is orchestrated. Everything is orchestrated. Nothing just happens. Nothing just happens. The good, bad, and the ugly. If you have an accident, we use the word accident. It's not an accident. It is a lesson that happened at this moment of time due to something that you need to pay attention to. I like to refer to that as the universe is knocking. And the universe will knock 3 times. First time is very light, simple. Second time gets a little heavier. And the third time is the big bang. So I want you to start paying attention. I want you to start waking up and understanding whatever's going on in your life at this moment of time and start looking at your astrological chart to have a better understanding. Now, do note that when we talk about Pluto, the planet of transformation, endings and completion, we talk about Uranus, the planet of chaos, the planet of rebellions, the planet of unpredictability, the planet of innovation. That is what it is. It's chaos. It's being the rebel. It's coming up with new ways of doing things. When we talk about Neptune is the spiritual evolution. Neptune is higher consciousness. Neptune is how you're evolving into your spiritual being that you are, how you're evolving into your intuition. Those are our 3 big planets. Pluto stays in the zodiac sign anywhere between 18 to 20 years. Neptune stays for 14, and Uranus between 7 to 8 years. Those are big planets that we see a lot of interaction take place over time. And then we have our closer planet, Mars, which is all about action-oriented. It's the war we have within ourselves, but it's also the leader we have. We have Mercury, which is the communicator, teacher, and student. And then we have Venus, which is all about your values, your physical material possessions. And then, of course, we have our sun, which beams on us to what we're here to be. And our moon energy is how we express and show our feelings or not. And then, of course, we have our asteroids. So I'm hoping that something landed with you. I'm hoping that you're tracking all of this. What I'm going to encourage you to do is come back and rewatch this. Watch it 1 or 2 times. Then come back with pen and paper. Write notes. Then, if you haven't already done so, go and look up your astrology chart. Find out where these particular zodiac signs, Cancer specifically, because that's what we're talking about, is in your chart. Find out where you have Aries on your chart. Find out where you have Taurus on your chart. Find out where you have Gemini on your chart. Those are the big players in this moment of time. And then come join me. I'm inviting you, 6 women, come join me on May 24th in my Astro Insight Play Shop. Get excited about what's going on in your world so you can learn how to play the life of chess. When to make your next move. When to make your next move. So to conclude, for my Cancer risings like me, where you have Cancer in your first house, this is a magnificent time for you, where fame, success, recognition, awards are all going to start showing up. All going to start showing up. People are going to want to know you. People are going to want to give you things. People are going to want to highlight you because of that Cancer first house placement. Now, again, if you have any planets in that first house placement, that's going to add to your story. And depending on which planets you have there, it can make that story really exciting and luxurious, or it can make that placement interesting and lesson oriented. There you have it. So if you are looking to join me for the May 24th Astro Insight Play Shop, you can go over to my website, which is Holistic Fitness NY. Scroll all the way down to where it says Astro Insight Play Shop. Click on that. Make your payment. Reserve your seat. Come join me May 24th. The group is limited to 6 women. And I look forward to seeing you there. Now, if for whatever the reasons are you cannot attend this one, or by the time you're ready to reserve your spot, I recommend you go and reserve your spot right now because there are spots available. So if you're watching this today, don't delay. Go, take care of it, reserve your spot. Do that now so you don't lose out, miss out. And if you are interested in tapping in and getting yourself an astrology reading. Now, understand when I do astrology readings, it's not predictions. I'm not predicting anything. This is all based on life experience. This is all based on what changes you're going to be enduring upon tapping into your astrological makeup. All that being said, if you have questions or comments or even observations, you can go ahead and email healingwithin76@gmail.com. I do look forward to having 6 of you in my class on May 24th. Again, that website is Holistic Fitness, NY. The holistic is with that W. Go ahead and reserve your seat today, and I look forward to seeing you then. Bye-bye for now.